Today we have 5 new English terms: organic farming, sustainable agriculture, upcycling, minimalism, and local sourcing. As you listen to our story for today, you will hear each of these terms. Try to guess their meaning. After the story, we'll dive deeper into each term. Are you ready? Well then, let's jump right in. The title of our story today is A Journey of Change. Here we go. The sun was just peeking over the horizon when Sarah's alarm blared through her small apartment. With a groan, she silenced it and stared at the ceiling. Another day at the corporate office awaited. The same mundane routine that had dominated her life for the past 7 years. But today felt different. Maybe it was the documentary she had watched last night about environmental degradation, or perhaps it was the growing emptiness she felt despite her material success. Is this really all there is? She whispered to herself. That question would change everything. 3 months later, Sarah stood in the middle of 5 acres of abandoned farmland she had purchased with her savings. Her corporate pantsuit was replaced with overalls, and her manicured nails were now caked with rich soil. Her former colleagues thought she had lost her mind, but Sarah had never felt more certain about anything. "Welcome to Green Horizon," she said proudly to Mark, her first volunteer and soon-to-be business partner, "where we're going to prove that organic farming isn't just a trend, but a necessity." Mark, a former agricultural scientist disillusioned with industrial farming methods, nodded approvingly. The soil here has potential. With the right approach to sustainable agriculture, we could turn this into something special. The journey wasn't easy. Their first growing season was plagued with challenges: unexpected pest infestations, unusually dry weather, and skepticism from neighboring conventional farmers. The local agricultural co-op even refused to sell them certain supplies when they learned about Green Horizon's strict no-chemical policy. "They think we're naive idealists," Mark sighed one evening as they sat on Sarah's porch, exhausted after a 14-hour workday. Sarah sipped her homemade herbal tea. "Maybe we are. But I'd rather be a naive idealist than contribute to the problems we're trying to solve." By the second year, Green Horizon had attracted a small community of like-minded individuals. Elena, a retired engineer with a passion for upcycling, joined their team and transformed the dilapidated barn into a functional workshop using reclaimed materials from demolished buildings in town. "Why buy new when the old just needs some love?" became her motto as she created irrigation systems from discarded pipes and built chicken coops from old furniture. Then came Carlos, a chef who had grown tired of the wasteful practices in high-end restaurants. He established a farm-to-table initiative, creating seasonal menus based entirely on what Green Horizon produced. "Local sourcing isn't just better for the environment," he explained to curious customers at their weekend market stall. "It's better for flavor. Food loses nutrients and taste with every mile and day between harvest and plate." The real turning point came during year 3, when a severe drought hit the region. While neighboring farms struggled with failing crops and mounting expenses from irrigation, Green Horizon's polyculture system and water conservation methods allowed them to survive with minimal losses. "Your farm is still green," remarked Bill, a conventional farmer who had been one of their biggest critics. "How is that possible?" Sarah and Mark exchanged glances before Mark explained their integrated water management system, companion planting techniques, and soil health practices that increased water retention. That autumn, Bill and 5 other local farmers approached them for advice. The severe weather had pushed them to the financial brink, and they were finally willing to consider alternatives. "We won't say we told you so," Sarah smiled, handing Bill a fresh cup of apple cider. "But we'd be happy to help you transition." As Green Horizons' influence grew, so did Sarah's personal philosophy. Her apartment in town had given way to a tiny house on the farm property, built largely from reclaimed materials. "Minimalism isn't about deprivation," she explained to a journalist from the local paper who had come to profile their growing success. "It's about intentionality, asking yourself what truly adds value to your life and letting go of the rest." 5 years after Sarah's alarm had jolted her awake to a life she no longer wanted, Green Horizon had transformed into a thriving agricultural education center. They hosted workshops on sustainable practices, provided consultation to farms transitioning to organic methods, and supplied fresh produce to schools and hospitals throughout the county. "Did you ever imagine we'd come this far?" Mark asked as they watched a group of school children excitedly planting sunflower seeds in the educational garden. Sarah shook her head. "Never. But that's the thing about seeds, isn't it? You plant them, nurture them, and then one day you look up to find something extraordinary has grown." As the sun set over Green Horizon, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, Sarah reflected on her journey. The path hadn't been easy, but it had been right. In seeking to heal the land, she had found healing for herself. In building a sustainable farm, she had built a sustainable life, one rooted in purpose, community, and harmony with the natural world. And that, she realized, was the true meaning of abundance. Another amazing story. I don't know if you enjoy these weekly stories, but I truly do. And as you listened to the story, you heard each of the 5 terms: organic farming, sustainable agriculture, upcycling, minimalism, and local sourcing. So let's get started with the very first term to dive deeper to understand what it actually means. The first term, organic farming. Let's dive deeper into this to see what this term means. It was used towards the beginning of our story, organic farming. And the sentence we had for this term was, where we're going to prove that organic farming isn't just a trend, but a necessity. So the question is, what does this term actually mean, organic farming? Organic farming refers to a farming system that avoids the use of synthetic pesticides and fertilizer. Again, avoiding pesticides and fertilizers. I actually personally, yes me, Teacher Tiffany, I try to eat more organic foods. This is healthier for my body and I've seen the difference. So again, organic foods relate to organic farming because synthetic pesticides and fertilizers are not being used. Here's the first example sentence. Organic farming is more environmentally friendly than conventional farming. Next, organic farming can help to improve soil health and biodiversity. And finally, organic farming produces food that is often healthier and tastier. I agree. Organic food is very good. It's expensive, but it is good. So let's go back to the story to read the paragraph where this term was used. Here we go. "Welcome to Green Horizon," she, Sarah, said proudly to Mark, her first volunteer and soon-to-be business partner, "where we're going to prove that organic farming isn't just a trend, but a necessity." So now we see what the term organic farming means and how it was used in our story. Now, our second term is sustainable agriculture. Again, sustainable agriculture. This was also used at the beginning of our story, in the paragraph right after the one where organic farming was used. Sustainable agriculture. And the sentence was, with the right approach to sustainable agriculture, we could turn this into something special. So the question is, what exactly is sustainable agriculture? This term means agriculture practices that are environmentally friendly, economically viable, and socially just. Basically, keeping the environment in mind, not trying to hurt the environment. Again, sustainable agriculture. Here are 3 example sentences. Sustainable agriculture aims to protect the environment and ensure food security. Next, sustainable agriculture practices include crop rotation, organic farming, and reduced pesticide use. And finally, sustainable agriculture can help to mitigate climate change and improve soil health. So we understand this term, sustainable agriculture. Now let's read the paragraph from our story where this term was used. Here we go. Mark, a former agricultural scientist disillusioned with industrial farming methods, nodded approvingly. The soil here has potential. With the right approach to sustainable agriculture, we could turn this into something special. So now we understand the term sustainable agriculture, and you understand how it was used in our story. So let's move on now to our third term, upcycling. Upcycling. Now this term was used, let's say in the middle of our story, upcycling. And the sentence that we read for this term went like this. Elena, a retired engineer with a passion for upcycling, joined their team and transformed the dilapidated barn into a functional workshop using reclaimed materials from demolished buildings in town. So we have the term in the sentence, upcycling. What does this term actually mean? The term upcycling refers to the process of converting waste materials or unusable products into new materials or objects of better quality or environmental value. Think about a parent gets a package in a cardboard box. Normally people just throw the cardboard box out. But this parent has a child who's a genius and knows how to use cardboard to create things of value, to create toys. Very, very creative. Upcycling. Again, the process of converting waste materials or unusable products into new materials or objects. Here's the first example sentence. Upcycling reduces waste and promotes creativity. Next, upcycling can transform old clothing into new fashion items. And finally, upcycling is a great way to reduce your environmental impact. So we understand the power and importance of upcycling. Let's go back to our story now and read the paragraph where this term was found. Here we go. By the second year, Green Horizon had attracted a small community of like-minded individuals. Elena, a retired engineer with a passion for upcycling, joined their team and transformed the dilapidated barn into a functional workshop using reclaimed materials from demolished buildings in town. Now you understand the term and how it was used in our story. So let's move on now to our fourth term. Our fourth term is minimalism. Minimalism. Now, this term minimalism was used towards the end of our story. Minimalism. So let's check out the sentence for this term. Here we go. Minimalism isn't about deprivation, she explained to a journalist from the local paper who had come to profile their growing success. Now we see the sentence and we understand the sentence, but we have to dive deeper into the term to understand what it means. So, minimalism refers to a simple way of living with only the bare necessities. a simple way of living with only the bare necessities. I am trying to be a minimalist. I like minimalism. I try not to have too many things, so minimalism is something that I can relate to. Again, minimalism is a simple way of living with only the bare necessities. Here's the first example sentence. Minimalism can reduce stress and increase happiness. Next, minimalism often involves decluttering and simplifying one's life. And finally, minimalism can be a sustainable lifestyle choice. So, we understand minimalism. Now let's go back to our story to read the paragraph where this term was found. Here we go again. Minimalism isn't about deprivation, she explained to a journalist from the local paper who had come to profile their growing success. It's about intentionality, asking yourself what truly adds value to your life and letting go of the rest. So, now you understand our fourth term, minimalism, and how it was used in our story. So let's go to our fifth term. Our fifth term is local sourcing. Local sourcing. And this term was used in the middle of our story. Local sourcing. So let's check out first the sentence that used this term. Here we go. Local sourcing isn't just better for the environment, he explained to curious customers at their weekend market stall. All right, so now the question is, what does local sourcing actually mean? Local sourcing refers to the practice of sourcing goods and services from local producers. In other words, producers that are in the area. Not getting your goods from 50 miles or 70, let's say 50 is kind of close, not from a few states over. Instead, getting them from farmers that are actually in the area. In English, we say local sourcing. Here's the first example sentence. Local sourcing supports local businesses and reduces transportation emissions. Next, local sourcing can help to build stronger communities. And finally, local sourcing often leads to fresher and higher quality products. So we understand the meaning now of local sourcing. So let's read the full paragraph one more time from our story where this term was used. Here we go. Local sourcing isn't just better for the environment, he explained to curious customers at their weekend market stall. It's better for flavor. Food loses nutrients and taste with every mile and day between harvest and plate. Now you understand the term local sourcing and how it was used in our story. We had 5 terms today: organic farming, sustainable agriculture, upcycling, minimalism, and local sourcing. I truly hope you enjoyed our lesson and our story, and I'll talk to you next time.